And welcome back to the second day of the Canadian Underground Forum. We're going to jump into, well, a mix of policy and operations and standards. But one of the benefits of a better defined 3D geospatial world under the ground, you know, this complete representation of reality, be it a, smart city or a project base map or anything like that, is that the implementation of other things that are dreamed about, like digital construction, virtual digital construction, better workflows in AEC like that, and BIM. So we've got today, or this session is Gordon McElravy with buildingSMART Canada. Gordon, welcome and take it away. I think you're still muted, Gordon.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Excellent. Let me share screen here. Excellent. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to speak today about an initiative that buildingSMART Canada has that's very relevant to what's going on today, and certainly what's taken place in the last 2 days. And I think in particular, I'd like to say that a lot of the driving force for that project really came from the type of things that we saw happening today. And we're looking, excuse me for a minute, I'll turn off my other connection. Okay. Yes. So over the last couple of days, we've seen a variety of innovative technology. We've seen professionals in these industries speaking about the use of the technology. We've talked about the movement of data between that technology and into an enterprise back-end GIS system. We've spoken of the non-mandating of data, and really very much by consensus. And a lot of this is the reason why we were approached to form the Municipal Infrastructure Council. And what I'd like to do is I'll take a few minutes and just quickly speak to buildingSMART International and the key components of buildingSMART International that we're leveraging, how we're replicating those in Canada, and ultimately delivering the environment that the Municipal Infrastructure Council program is delivering. So I'll take a second. My background, I've been in my professional training and education is surveying and mapping. I'm an OLS. I've had a lengthy career in the industry. And this is really, to a large extent, why I'm engaged in this project. So I've worked over the last number of years in the broader geospatial community, but to a very large extent with the municipalities and different levels of government. And in working with them, I've made the connections and been involved with the different levels of government in a number of joint projects. So I have a lot of experience in just really, if you like, putting together partnerships. And for me, I am an advocate of open architecture and open data, having come through the evolution of technology and lived the nightmare of not being able to communicate with different systems and processes and organizations and software. I think that's really what's driven me to sit on the board of directors of buildingSMART Canada. So let me start. I'm sure most of you know about buildingSMART International, but what I'd like to do is really look at the key points that are important in the process in supporting this municipal project. So buildingSMART International, obviously international standards for Open BIM, and they combine a number of processes that support all of the efforts that are going on in buildingSMART Canada. And the municipalities want a standards development organization, an SDO engaged, and they want the international community engaged. So in approaching buildingSMART Canada, they saw that opportunity, and they saw the type of infrastructure and support that buildingSMART has, which we've replicated, as I'll show you here in Canada. So there are the BSI process, which is the delivery manuals, the data dictionary, which maintains the international framework dictionaries, the data model, which organizes and manages the IFC format, which you've heard about earlier, and the BIM collaboration forum. So these are important processes that are required to back up if you're going to start looking at creating standards and evaluating standards. They also have a very professional certification program, which is passed on to at the chapter level, and the chapters, delivering through local chapters, the chapters set up training organizations. The training organizations join the program, and then they provide professional training both to industrial organizations, industry organizations, and individuals. They also have a software certification program that deals with the capability, software validation for the capability for certification, test cases and documentation to prove the certification process, and managing all of the paperwork and certification results for public consumption on whether those products meet these standards. Now, what's most important, I believe, is this. They use the model of focus rooms, which are requirement definitions for some solutions, the technical focus rooms, which are operating system open standards, and the international users groups, which forms working groups, and those working groups are centered around a project room concept. So you might assign a room as an airport room. The international users groups, the working groups within those would work within that room and would develop the proposed standards and documentation and materials that are required to deliver on the infrastructure that they're proposing to put standards on. The buildingSMART chapters, basically, we promote BIM in Canada, so we're representative of buildingSMART International, and each chapter has 2 representatives on the buildingSMART International board. So here in Canada, we're working closely with buildingSMART International by enhancing its standards and its compliance programs. We're replicating in our model for the Municipal Infrastructure Council, the rooms concept, and Bill Moore, the president of buildingSMART Canada, is on the board of directors of buildingSMART International. They're an international body representing a number of countries. Now, the maps that you're seeing are the chapters that represent buildingSMART International around the world. Some of these flags represent multiple countries that have grouped together, and they formed an environment of sharing information and collaboration around the world. There are 2 models. A full chapter engages and it is a privilege to all of the entitlements of being a member of buildingSMART International. And they're also developing chapters who are working their way towards meeting the requirements to go on to a full chapter. And these are the full chapter members. Now, buildingSMART Canada, as a chapter of buildingSMART International, we're an incorporated, federally incorporated, not-for-profit corporation. And our business transformation strategy is built around sustainability model for project-based approach to BIM. And that's really, really important. And that's one of the things that the municipalities are interested in. We're also structured to engage the industry, education, and government in those projects activities. And we're engaged with key stakeholders in Canada. So on the right, you'll see government, First Nations, education. So we're presently engaged in that environment. And the municipalities working with us have recognized that there are multiple levels of government in the projects, and they want to create an environment where they can share that information. And I'll show you how they want to do it. The board of directors, we're very fortunate. The board of directors of buildingSMART Canada have a wide variety of skills and professional talents. They bring an immense amount of information and expertise to the board. And members on our board are in industry, they're in education, they're in the innovation and research area, and in the general industry as well. Our model in Canada is very much replicating the model that buildingSMART International uses. So instead of chapters, we have affiliates. And our affiliates program supports a number of regional associations that represent buildingSMART and BIM in Canada and localize their meetings, their efforts, and the material that we provide, and promote the adoption of BIM in their particular area in support of buildingSMART Canada and buildingSMART International. And we're very fortunate with Quebec, because with Quebec, we also have international exposure through the Francophone Hub, which is, again, another area to exchange information with the international community. buildingSMART Canada, much like buildingSMART International, we have, in support of vertical BIM, and particularly buildings, we built or created a considerable amount of documentation to support that. And under the Municipal Infrastructure Council Program, we have the support environment to build the documentation necessary to distribute to the participating partners. So we've developed the PXP toolkits, 3 volumes, project execution plan toolkits, the Canada Practice Manual for BIM, the contract language appendix, a certification program, an e-store, a BIM roadmap, and obviously support for the affiliates program. Also, members on our board are actively engaged in working groups and committees in buildingSMART International. Each year, the buildingSMART International Standards Summit is held somewhere in the world. In 2020, Canada was authorized to hold this event in Montreal. Now we have 2021 COVID and now 2022. So in the fall of 2022, over 1,200 standards professionals from around the world will be converging on Montreal, and they'll be attending the International Conference on the Digital Built Environment. We're also having our inaugural meeting of the first National Organization of Municipal Infrastructure Council. So bringing in all of the members from around Canada and participating in the summit. So very quickly, the origin of this really came from the industry coming to buildingSMART Canada and asking us to take our ongoing initiatives, take our concept of the real world project delivering collaboration environment. We're presently engaged with multi-levels of government, and they wanted to put that into an environment that the municipalities could have a managed project environment where they would be driving the projects. The municipal input, obviously the first thing about comments from the municipalities in discussions with them, over 60% of public infrastructure is in the municipalities. So they believe the industry needs to recognize, if you're going to adopt standards, if you're going to bring BIM standards or underground standards into the equation, you have to involve the municipalities. They're simply too large of a player. They're fragmented right now. They need coordination. They deal with multiple levels of government, and they want to create an environment where they can work with those. BIM, CAD and BIM and GIS, interoperability, incredibly important. And that BIM has to be engaged in the projects for linear as well, and underground in particular. there has to be a collaborative environment, and certainly the challenge within an organization, certainly within government and the municipalities, is changing the culture of the organization. And they believe by putting the particular model together that we've done, it'll meet that. What's missing is data governance, along with large-scale participation by government stakeholders. The project will deliver that. And this is not just a technology problem, it's an awareness problem. And we have to make people aware of the value of BIM in the civil environment. And they want to create an environment that will do that. And it has to be real world, project-based. The proof is in the project. So very quickly here, if you look at the underground infrastructure, municipalities have a massive amount of it, all types of it. They share it with a number of people. It's from a centralized GIS, and they need to understand things like BIM and GIS interoperability. An example is the Esri ArcGIS GeoBIM. So you're linking ArcGIS to BIM 360 Cloud from Autodesk. They want to understand BIM applications in new construction, and very, very much its use to collect and to map and to create a model of as-built infrastructure. We certainly saw a lot of technology that's going to help with that today. And they need to understand the real-world relevance of BIM in their environment. So the request was to put together a collaboration platform, a collaborative environment to share thoughts, innovation, and develop or work with the existing relationships that we have with them to put together a format that would deliver this. Now, not to scare everyone away, my purpose in showing this is to explain the extent of involvement by different organizations in this. So if you look at top left, we have an industry advisory committee that sits over buildingSMART Canada. So we have all of the AECOO industry engaged. We also, as we move clockwise, have government collaboration through their efforts in the Digital Built Government of Canada. So we're engaged with industry and government. We're also engaged with research institutions and innovation collaboration organizations, public and private. And we brought those together with the concept of starting with a Municipal Infrastructure Council. Now in 4, they have links, and the municipalities have links with government innovation funding. So they want to bring all of this together and to be able to leverage it in working on common projects with multiple municipalities and sharing all of the information that they're gathering. This is all managed by buildingSMART Canada's Operations Committee. And under that Operations Committee is the Municipal Infrastructure Council Program, which I'm managing. Now, you'll notice National Infrastructure Council Program. The end goal is to start with municipalities and taking the relationships, create a national council engaging all of the stakeholders in the industry, private and government. What's very important to them and what they recognize, and they want us to recognize, that if you're going to drive standards, whether they're the standards we're talking about today or whether the standards we're speaking about BIM, you're only going to do that if you engage 3 segments of the municipal world. You have to engage the technical people. They would be the ones that would fit in the municipal infrastructure rooms. You have to engage management, who are responsible for regulatory and policy procedures within a municipality. And you have to engage the politicians. And you have to bring them together with the AECO industry and present what's been done with proposals on the standards that they should be adopting. Now, the program initiated this year. Well, it's been in the works for over a year and a half, obviously with COVID. We established the Municipal Executive Committee. That committee has 4 principal municipalities on it: the City of Kingston, Ontario, Calgary, Alberta, Halifax, Nova Scotia, and the City of Quebec, the province of Quebec. They formed the Executive Committee at this time. It's a structured committee that reports into buildingSMART Canada board. The gray area represents the independent municipalities that join the council. In joining the council, that gives them the 3 areas that they can draw people in: the political, the management, or into the technical. The technical brings it down to the infrastructure rooms, and each project would assign an infrastructure room, deal on specific infrastructure that they want to deal on, and then they promote the project up the chain to approval to execute, where buildingSMART and the project room principals would get together. We'd look at funding the project and how we'd carry out delivering on everything that we want in the project. The end goal is a National Infrastructure Council. So based on a project collaboration platform driven through a common digital hub in buildingSMART Canada, we've engaged all of the principal organizations in this effort, have engaged all of the principal organizations in this effort. And as I say, we're about 6 months into the effort and starting to now engage the broader community now that the executive committee is set up. The end goal is to bring together the municipalities, not independently in independent projects, doing independent workflows, doing independent efforts, bring them together, try to do the effort in a collaborative environment, and develop from that the workflows and standards with or without BIM that are required in their environment. And I think I am finished with for questions.
Okay, hey, thanks a lot, Gordon. That's a lot of coordination, a lot of work, a lot of parties. As you said, you need the politicians, the managers, and you need the tech end of it all buying in. And from what I know about buildingSMART International, you're following their path, and that's a very similar path there. So, a question about any of these, standards. Coming up with standardized procedures, best practices, workflows, is for instance, you talked about the certifications for software. So, the question about standards is, what is the hammer, to make sure that people apply them to realize the sort of that digital dream. So in the certifications, is it typical that, say, a jurisdiction, a city or a province, or a group or a project, they're going to make a decision about what software to use based on such kind of certifications?
No, we're talking about open environments. So obviously, that in this case, we're speaking. Does the format that we're developing, does it work in each of those software environments? That's what we're talking about now. To qualify standards, when you speak about standards, the first thing anyone will tell you, there'll never be one standard. There'll be multiple standards, and they will work differently in different circumstances. You'll never mandate in Canada. So if you speak with the federal government, they want to lead by example. So you have to create an environment where what's being presented is relevant to the work that's being done. It has the associated standards that are required specifically for that, and it's put in the context of how do you deal with the standards that you may be coming out of different types of infrastructure processes. So none of that is being answered, and they feel that working in a project together. And so we're really looking at, if you like, innovative mini pilot projects with proposals of what standards might be used and what workflows might be used, and then an introduction to the broader community. Now, buildingSMART International is a standards development organization, an SDO. Well, the presenter next is Canadian Standards Association. So working with organizations in Canada, and I'm not sure if Lawrence will be speaking about the 3 levels of standards that they deal with, but it's possible in Canada to have an industry standard, a specific standard in an industry. So not mandated, it might be a segment of the industry. So they simply want buildingSMART to help them manage how do we go through this to figure out what we need. So it's really a test. It's, will it work? Will the concept work? We've communicated this to all of the individual groups that you saw on that large chart. They all think it's the right way to go. And they all recognize that if you don't engage municipalities to have standards adopted, it'd be very, very slow process in Canada or anywhere else.
Okay. Well, you know, the old joke that here's our problem. We have 14 competing standards. So let's create a new standard, and the end result is 15 competing standards. But this approach of, encourage the use of existing standards. There's always another body that's building that. You know, there's ANSI, ISO, you got CSA, the ASCE we heard about yesterday. That's really encouraging. Years ago when I first started hearing about buildingSMART, they were a standards organization, but I kept thinking, oh my gosh, they're just going to come up with another set of standards. But it's been pretty positive.
Yeah, and I think also just we have to look at North America as an entity, and so buildingSMART Canada is working closely now with buildingSMART USA, which is just forming. So we've had a number of meetings. We've spoken with them about sharing this information, having joint projects, and so on. In that large chart that you saw, we also have engagement with the international community. So in our presentation to the buildingSMART chapters in a call, we had about 8 countries that asked to participate in this project and introduce the international standards and how they do things in Europe. And we think that's an excellent idea. They're also interested in replicating this concept. They think it may be more difficult in Europe, but they think it may be able to be replicated, and we would have a link specifically to a particular utility and a particular process and particular workflows that we want to put standards on.
Okay. Now let me ask you about reception in the industry. It's a combined industry now in a way. You know, the GEO and the AAC are finally, having a group hug. I mean, you gave the example of the Esri Autodesk collaborations, because GeoBIM or whatever names that takes, it's an inevitability and a reality. And I've been waiting for that handshake there for 35 something years. So what's the reception been in the GEO and the AAC industries to your efforts in participation in buildings?
They're participated in asking us. We're engaged with them now. So this was presented to organizations, the proposal of taking this on. The municipalities have taken it on with, I'd say, one condition. And that condition is that it's driven on a timeline that works for them, that they have management control. So you saw in the structure, it's the municipalities that are on the executive committee. Municipalities are in the program. Now, that's not to say that the concept isn't supported. We're supported by ESRI, Autodesk, and Dassault as original members. So we're approaching the rest of the industry. Again, this is physically only been in existence with an executive committee for 4 or 5 months. Yep. But there's 2 years of research behind it. So if we listen to what the industry is saying, they want to try it. They think the structure that buildingSMART International has, replicated by buildingSMART Canada here, is an environment to produce the documentations and the associations with standards-based organizations that they require if they so choose to do it.
I see. Did you say that buildingSMART USA has just now gotten underway?
Yes.
Okay. I got to look up a bit more about that.
Yep.
So Gordon, thank you for the wonderful outline of that's a lot of progress in a few months. So considering everything going on, and you said the event will be in 2022.
That's correct, in fall 2022.
Fall 2022. Awesome, awesome. Okay, we're going to go to a break. As you said, we're going to be going into a little bit more about standards here after the break. We'd like to see everybody back at 5 minutes past the hour. Thanks, Gordon.
Thank you.